not to sound in over my head, but I think I just figured out the solution to practically obviate all dentistry, all dental interventions. It's really simple, and I don't know why no one has thought of this yet or invented this yet, but bridges are something that's already been invented, but what has not been invented is a bridge which is non-toxic and doesn't require fluoride or BPA laden dental cements, and bridges that are not made out of toxic materials themselves. So yeah, I think I cracked the code on this, and I think this actually completely changes the game for this whole channel. I described some of the technologies that I was envisioning in my previous video, Transformational Tooth Tech. It's a tongue twister. Transformational Tooth Tech. In that video I talked about bio flippers, so flippers which are little clip-in tooth replacement inserts to help people who have a gap, who had a tooth extracted and have teeth on either side and can kind of clip onto the surrounding teeth. But those are cumbersome. They need to be removed every night and soaked in a solution to keep them sterile, and they need to be cleaned, and also doing that biologically, doing that non-toxically is really a serious engineering challenge. It's beyond my scope for sure, and I was really intimidated by the prospect of trying to invent this thing, honestly. But I thought that was the only solution for my fiance, who has some gaps in her teeth right now. She's had 7 teeth extracted in total. I've had 4. I had all my wisdom teeth, but she had all her wisdom teeth plus 3 more extracted. And she's facing another one. In a couple days, she's about to have another one pulled. And this is all thanks to amalgam. You can see my previous videos on amalgam. I just made one called Amalgam, a Horrific Invention, and it is truly that. But that aside, I think bridges can eliminate the need for flippers completely. And I think bridges are a much more elegant solution. I think they can be permanent solution that doesn't need the constant maintenance that a flipper would, and wouldn't need to be remade after the teeth have shifted over years. So here's what I'm thinking for a bridge, how it could be done well without giving people symptoms, unexplainable chronic illnesses that get written off by pharmaceuticals, or just misdiagnosed or whatever it may be. Here it is. So bridges, well, first, if you don't know what a bridge is, let me explain. I'll get to it. A bridge is basically, it looks like a couple of teeth connected to each other. That's all. And what they are fake teeth that are connected to each other at near the gum line, and they're kind of placed so that the two outside parts, the two teeth, 1 or 2 teeth on the outside are hollow shells, and they kind of slip over the neighboring teeth, which have possibly been worn down. They get cemented onto those neighboring teeth, and then the tooth in the middle, which fills the gap of the tooth that's been extracted, sits in place, being held on by the neighboring, you could call them false teeth as well, and gives people back their chewing and enables them to have proper jaw alignment, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a genius solution. If it's done well, it's not noticeable at all. They look just like teeth. And really, they're used in very similar contexts to flippers. The only advantage of flippers is they can be made faster for people in scenarios where they need a temporary solution, or they just don't want to pay as much. They cost more to make bridges for people. And to me, that's not good enough of a reason to design a new flipper when it would require a flexible clip, a bioplastic clip, and that's the main engineering challenge with a bioflipper. So my thought is, all right, well, if we redesign it from scratch, then bridges don't necessarily have to be more expensive than a flipper would be, and it doesn't necessarily have to take more time to make if it's done well, and also if it's not patented, if no corporation is jacking up the price or requires machines which aren't readily available to dentists. But what I'm postulating would only require a 5-axis dental mill, I think it's called. And these are really ubiquitous in the dental industry. They're used to craft zirconia implants and fillings and that sort of thing. So these machines could be used for Nephrite Jade instead. And Nephrite Jade, as I've talked about before on this channel, is kind of a wonder material. It's a natural gemstone that has a certain woven crystal lattice structure, which makes it really resistant to fracturing, to cleaving. So if there are any micro fractures, even from impact or anything like that, then it wouldn't crack all the way through. The fracture would just remain almost microscopic and isolated. So for that reason, it's really advantageous to use Nephrite instead of God knows what they're using for bridges nowadays. In addition to that, Nephrite has a lot of other really good qualities. First of all, it's readily available. It's found very abundantly in certain parts of the world. It's not an expensive gemstone. It has low thermal conductivity, which means people with cold or heat sensitivity on their dental nerves would hopefully have some relief from having restorations made of nephrite. Nephrite also is roughly tooth colored, and it's interesting because nephrite is a gemstone. A lot of stones have heavy metals or toxic metals in them, but nephrite really doesn't. If it does, it's in very, very trace amounts, similar probably to the amounts that would be found in our own human bones. Our bones contain metals, and I don't think nephrite has any more trace metals in our own skeletal system, so it makes it a really ideal material to use. And it can be, like I said, crafted with a 5-axis dental mill with a diamond burr specifically. It couldn't be laser cut because that would compromise the structural integrity. But a fully diamond drilling head could craft it into custom shapes. With a nephrite blank, it could be CAD designed into anyone's needed dimensions. So these could be custom made for people all over the world, and they could be cemented in with a novel mineral dental cement. I'm envisioning a dental cement that has 4 ingredients that I think could form a permanent cement. I haven't tested this myself. I'd really like to, and maybe I will soon. But I think it's really important that someone does, because right now they're giving people diseases with this stuff they're putting into their teeth. They don't tell you this, but like before they put filling in, they in most cases are gonna put liquid resin or glass ionomer. They don't really use phosphate zinc cement anymore, but that stuff is bad too. Or they'll use some sort of just, I don't know, BPA. They call it bis GMA, but it's BPA, hormone disrupting cement or adhesive. And the glass ionomer, they have fluoride in them. So it's really concerning, as I've talked about in a previous video. These materials disrupt so many of our systems, our biological systems, and they can lead to so many chronic diseases. It's really archaic that they're being used still across the world, that people aren't told even that they're going to be used. It's typically non-consensual, and people, if they are informed, then they're not given much information or told about the health risks of these materials. In most cases, they're told it's completely safe, and that's just straight up BS. Like, it's a lie. It's a big lie. And it's a ubiquitous one. So that's why I got the fillings removed from my mouth without getting them replaced. I had to go to Germany for this. And nonetheless, these adhesives and cements that they put in, they are designed with solvents to penetrate the microtubules in the teeth. So they literally leach into the teeth and surely take years even after removal to leach out. And so the toxification is a long process to escape. But that brings me back to this dental cement that I'd like to create to give people another alternative, because there's no good alternatives right now being sold on the market. or even invented. I don't know that these things exist, so I've looked into it, but I'm just not so sure. There is zinc eugenol fillings. These don't need adhesives by themselves, and they could potentially act as a adhesive or a sort of cement to put in other dental restorations. But I'm not so sure, and I'm also not super fond of the zinc being an extracted, chemically processed clay. They do make zinc that they say has no residual chemicals, but they always say that, and not so sure. Nonetheless, there's concerns about zinc being somewhat irritating or toxic to the nerve in the long term with long-term exposure, so I'm not sure it's fitting as a long-term dental cement. Same thing with clove oil or eugenol that's used to harden the zinc clay. So the solution I've theorized is combining powdered wollastonite with, and hand mined, by the way, all of these materials that I'm going to mention would need to be hand mined or hand processed for purity's sake, because they're usually using explosives in mining, and that leaves all sort of heavy metal residues. But wollastonite, which has kind of a hair-like crystal structure, which actually closely resembles the crystal lattice of our own teeth. So the wollastonite for hardness mixed with hydrated limestone that's been fired in a kiln and then mixed with water for reactivity, for a pozzolan activity, it's called, to basically cement it, mixed with hydroxyapatite, which is powdered and kiln-fired bone, animal bone, and I think maybe antler would be the ideal bone for this, although I think really any bone could work, as long as it's reduced down to its pure hydroxyapatite. Bovine is typically used. Those three mixed with the husk ash of rice. So in the rice production process, there's a husk around the seed, and they have to remove this for every grain of rice. So there's an enormous byproduct of the rice industry and of rice farmers. And when that's burned, it becomes almost pure silicon. So that would add a sort of malleability and a little bit of give so that it doesn't fracture so easily, so it's not so brittle. And this combination completely avoids any biological proteins, any foreign proteins, so that takes down infection risk and basically immune system reaction, because foreign proteins, it's typically what the immune system flags as a foreign invader and will cause inflammation, that sort of thing. So that's not a risk. All of these materials are also very low in metals, again comparable to our own bone structure, and if it works, it wouldn't mold over time. It could potentially be a dental cement that lasts for, who knows, hundreds of years. till someone kicks a can, they could have this in their mouth. And that's what I'm going for. A lot of people's fillings actually fall out. These plastic and metal fillings that they give people, not only do they toxify people, but they're inferior materials, really. And in the previous video I made called Maya Dental Care, rather, I talked about how they found an inlay that was created with jade. That was jadeite jade, but I'm talking about nephrite jade for this. But a Mesoamerican person was found who lived 1,500 years ago, and they used this sort of primitive dental cement, and it's in a museum today, and the jade inlay is still in that tooth. The cement is still holding it 1,500 years later. So that just goes to show, like, nature provides, and it provides better than the petrochemical industry and the mining industry do. So there's my big revelation that I made recently. These bridges could be made, and they don't require toxins. They can be made with the same tools that dentists are already using, and they're going to be cheaper. They're going to be more widely available. They're going to be easier to make. They're going to last longer. And they're going to give people their bites back. They're going to reform the dental industry. They're going to give people's quality of life back, because people go to the dentist to get help with their issues, and they come home with different issues, arguably worse ones than just not having teeth. I mean, it really sucks to not have teeth, but it also sucks to get cancer. It sucks to have your whole endocrine system disrupted, to have mental health issues, to have liver failure, kidney failure. Like, these are serious things that are being caused by medical malpractice on a wide scale. I should probably mention that none of this is medical advice. I'm not a licensed medical practitioner, although I have some solutions that could probably help people more than any medical practitioner currently is. But I'm not liable if you're harmed from any of this information or acting upon it. This is for educational purposes only. I have to say this stuff. So, in addition to that, my other ideas are still pretty much the same for fillings and inlays and onlays potentially. Nephrite jade with this dental cement can also act as inlays for teeth that are still savable and salvageable, I think is the word. Teeth that aren't too far gone that they have to be pulled, but aren't small enough cavities that they can just be simply filled with a dental cement. If they need some extra reinforcement inside, then a piece of nephrite could be placed in for some added strength. But it's possible that this dental cement works so well that even giant holes in the teeth can be filled with it and function just like regular teeth, and not wear down over time. But it has to be tested. I've talked about in previous videos the kind of equipment and team that I'm searching for to actualize these kind of things. And really now, I'm just feeling like a lot of that is unnecessary. It would be nice to work with some people who have experience in the dental industry. I mean, to even test this stuff, I need access to dental CAD software and a 5-axis dental mill. And just people who are experienced with those tools and are passionate about creating these new solutions. But really, beyond that, I think that's all I need. Because I'm not going for FDA approval of this. The FDA are literally the ones who could have solved this years ago. In 2009, they were presented with the evidence that amalgam is killing people, and they decided to ignore it. And I'm sure they've been ignoring it much longer than that, but that's when it became abundantly clear, and they couldn't ignore it, and they still did. And now it's 2026. And they still haven't taken action. I don't know if they will, now that Trump and his Make America Healthy Again team are urging the phase out of dental amalgam and mercury across the board. But really, even with this, there's a lot of money in it. There's lobby groups. And there's no good solutions yet. BPA fillings, fluoride cements, zirconia ceramics made with aluminum are not good alternatives to amalgam. And when RFK says, we've known of these healthier options for a long time, these solutions that are not harmful to people, that's just BS. Again, it's better, sure, a little bit, but I guess it depends on which organ you ask. Like, so now is really the time to be inventing this new set of solutions, and I'd like to lead the way on that, but really I don't care who leads the way. I just want it done, and no one else is doing it, so I'm in this position. I just want to see it done, and I just want to see it done in a way where everyone has access to it. I really couldn't care less to profit off of this. Not that I'm wealthy or not in need of money. I am. This isn't my house I'm filming a video in. But this is too important for the world to be profiting off of it, to even be thinking of making money off of it. People are dying right now all over the world because of this. And it's just gotta stop. Like, I can't bear to see it. I've seen firsthand in my own life and in my fiance's life, in my parents' life, in my grandparents' life, and so many other people that I meet, just how much damage this has done to our culture, to our health, to our social infrastructure, to our politics. It prevents peacemaking. It prevents the full expression of love in the world. It's really that serious. And not many people are acknowledging this. The world would be a really different place if people weren't constantly being inundated with these toxins from the inside of their mouths. And from other sources, there's vaccines that have mercury and aluminum and all sorts of other nasty stuff. And there's metal titanium implants that they put in people's brains and their bones, and they put plastic implants in people, and they put tattoos in people. I'm going through that journey right now. I'm trying to get tattoos off without lasers by having a cutout of my skin, because literally it's always toxifying me. I can feel it all the time because I have a big color tattoo, and there's just so many ways that the industries have deceived us and toxified us and gaslit us and just lied to us over and over and over and charged us for it, taking our money, taking our time, and taking our health. And I just want it to stop. So here's 3 simple solutions: a bridge, an inlay, a filling. This covers most of it, most of the dental restorations that people need. If people have no teeth at all, then maybe nephrite dentures could be made for them. Maybe those could be stuck on with some sort of resin material, or maybe even this dental cement that I'm postulating. I don't know what the solution to is for that, but there are solutions, and it revolves around nephrite jade and mineral dental cements. I know that much. And I also think nephrite could be used in the future for dental implants. Controversial opinion. But I think what they're doing right now with implants is barbaric and untested. They're really treating people like guinea pigs with this stuff. And a one-piece nephrite implant would be much safer. Also in the Maya dental care video, I talked about how there was a case of Mayan, or a Maya, I think it was a Maya person who is found to have 3 chiseled seashells shaped into wedges stuck into their jawbone, probably directly after dental extraction. And they stayed, and they osseointegrated. They bone formed around them and accepted them as new teeth. The jawbone accepted these seashell pieces. And this person probably lived a good life afterwards because they took the risk of putting a tough restorative material into their jawbone. Probably just hammered in or tapped in. And they probably used herbal numbing. Like, this stuff is really simple. I also have a video on herbal numbing, go check that out. So, what the dental industry is doing right now is uncalled for and unnecessary. All for profit, all out of complicity and complacency, and a lot of times greed or some deep-seated resentment toward humanity. I don't know. It's really messed up stuff. I can't begin to understand it, but I do understand that humans deserve better. And this is how I think. This is my best guess as a amateur scientist, you could call me, to provide the solutions. And this is what one person can come up with at my age. Like, imagine what teams of well-equipped scientists, actual scientists, could do if they put the millions and billions of dollars that they do into hurting people, into helping them, into saying no to chemical processing and mass produced industrial materials. I can only imagine, but I think this is the right direction, and it could get the approval of regulatory agencies in certain countries probably pretty quick, with the right resources and people backing the ideas, and to just test it and prove its efficacy. It would need long-term trials probably, but they're not doing long-term trials on zirconia, so they're already putting that stuff in people's mouths all across the world. So do we really need long-term trials? I don't know. I think this is a pretty urgent problem, so if we can speed it up, that would be cool. Yeah, well, that's it for this one. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe, like this video, share this video with your friends and family, or whoever you may think would benefit from this information or be interested in furthering the development of these ideas. Please go watch my other videos to get some more context, and you can see how my ideas have progressed and evolved, as they will continue to over time. And yeah, comment down below if you've got any questions, comments, concerns. I'm happy to be an open dialogue about this stuff. I'd love to collaborate with people who are passionate about this. Whoever you are, you don't need to be an expert. And my email is available in the description on my YouTube channel. So reach out and stay tuned for more. Thank you for your time.